I unwrapped my sister's special gift at my baby shower, a box of used diapers that made everyone laugh, but when I revealed I owned her house and she was about to lose it, her smirk vanished. And what came next, no one in the family could predict. My name is Olivia. I'm 32, and I'm currently sitting in my living room, still reeling from what just happened at my baby shower. Since I need to vent somewhere, I figured I'd share this with you all. This isn't just petty family drama, it's the culmination of years of being taken for granted, financially exploited, and emotionally drained by my older sister, Amanda. If you've ever had a toxic sibling who thought they were entitled to your life, money, and success while pretending to be your biggest supporter, you might relate. But let's start with today. Open it! Amanda grinned, her voice dripping with fake enthusiasm as she shoved the large gift box toward me. The entire room was watching. Family, friends, co-workers, a perfect baby shower scene complete with pastel balloons and a decorative banner that read, "Welcome, little one." My hands hesitated as I pulled at the ribbon, the expectant gazes of my guests making it impossible to pause for too long. Inside the box was a pile of diapers, used ones. The laughter came instantly, not polite chuckles, not nervous giggles, but actual roaring laughter. My mother covered her mouth in an attempt to stifle it, but even she was shaking. Amanda, the mastermind of this pathetic stunt, wiped away fake tears of joy. "Oh, come on, it's just a joke," she said, tossing her perfect blonde hair over her shoulder. "You can afford to buy real ones yourself, right?" Right, because I was the rich sister. Because I had worked so hard while Amanda spent her life hopping from one financial disaster to another, expecting our parents and me to clean up after her. And this wasn't the first time she'd used me as a punching bag for her own failures. Throughout our childhood and teenage years, Amanda had earned her status as the family's darling, though this wasn't due to any exceptional abilities or intelligence. Instead, she possessed an almost instinctive talent for psychological manipulation that she wielded with surgical precision. In front of our parents, she would transform into the epitome of sisterly devotion, carefully braiding my hair with gentle hands, offering what seemed like heartfelt guidance about navigating teenage romance, and maintaining the facade of a caring, protective older sibling who genuinely wanted the best for me. However, the moment we were alone, away from parental oversight, Amanda's mask would slip entirely, revealing someone cold, calculating, and deeply resentful. The memory that haunts me most vividly occurred on the eve of my college entrance examination, a test that represented everything I had worked toward for months. I had sacrificed countless social opportunities, spending endless nights buried in textbooks and practice tests, driven by a desperate determination to secure a scholarship that would grant me financial independence from my parents. That particular evening, Amanda had returned home seething with rage after yet another romantic disappointment. Her latest boyfriend had apparently failed to purchase the expensive necklace she had been hinting about for weeks, leaving her in a state of barely contained fury. "You think you're so much better than me, don't you?" she hissed venomously, positioning herself in my bedroom doorway like a predator cornering its prey. Her eyes gleamed with malicious intent as she surveyed my study materials scattered across the desk. "Look at you, sitting there, acting all intellectual and superior, grinding away like some pathetic bookworm. Let me give you a reality check. Little sister success isn't about how many hours you waste studying or how hard you think you're working. Money, real money, comes from connections, from knowing the right people, not from burying your nose in dusty textbooks like some social outcast." What followed was a systematic, hour-long psychological assault that left me emotionally shattered. She dissected every aspect of my personality and ambitions with cruel precision, ridiculing my study habits as obsessive and unhealthy, mocking my modest clothing choices as evidence of my social inadequacy, and dismissing my carefully cultivated dreams of financial independence as naive fantasies that would never materialize. When I finally reached my breaking point and screamed at her to leave me alone, she simply smiled that cold, satisfied smirk that I would come to recognize as her signature expression of triumph. "Oh, relax," she said with casual cruelty, tossing her perfectly styled hair over her shoulder in a gesture of dismissive superiority. "I'm just trying to motivate you, help you see reality for what it is." When I got my scholarship and moved away, Amanda suddenly became supportive again. She bragged to everyone about how her little sister was so successful, how she had always believed in me. But the second she needed money, the insults came back. Must be nice to be able to afford anything you want, she'd say, conveniently forgetting that she had blown through every dime she had ever been given. Don't be so greedy, Liv. It's just a loan. Ugh, you've changed. You used to be nice. And yet, I still helped her. I covered her rent once when she was between jobs. I paid off her credit card when she cried about being so stressed. I even co-signed a loan for her once, something I regretted almost immediately when she stopped making payments. And what did I get in return? A box of used diapers at my baby shower. The laughter hadn't even fully died down when I decided it was time for my own announcement. I set the box down carefully, my fingers still slightly trembling, not with humiliation but with something else entirely. That's funny, I said, my voice light. Really funny. Almost as funny as the fact that Amanda just lost her house. The laughter stopped. Amanda blinked. What? Oh, did I forget to mention that part? I turned to the crowd. See, I bought the mortgage to her house 6 months ago. She was behind on payments, again. And instead of letting the bank foreclose, I thought I'd be generous. I tilted my head, enjoying the way her face drained of color. But after this little stunt, I gestured to the box. I don't feel very generous anymore. You're lying, her voice cracked slightly. I pulled out my phone and, with a few taps, displayed the property record. Her name wasn't on it anymore, just mine. Gasps, whispers. My mother's eyes darted between us, realization sinking in. Amanda, I continued, slipping my phone back into my purse. I was going to surprise you by letting you stay, maybe even give you the deed as a gift, but since you think I should buy my own gifts... I let the sentence hang in the air. She let out a breathless, nervous laugh. Oh, don't be dramatic. You're rich. You can afford to do the right thing. The right thing? I repeated. You mean like humiliating your pregnant sister in front of all her friends and family? It was a joke, she snapped, but her voice was shaking now. No, I shot back. Silence. Pure, deafening silence. My father stood up, clearing his throat as if he was about to lecture me on being the bigger person. I held up a hand. Don't, I warned. I have been the bigger person my whole life. I have covered for Amanda's debts. I have bailed her out when she wrecked her car. I have paid for her to go back to school twice only for her to drop out. I have let her live rent-free in that house for years. And in return, she gives me this. I gestured to the disgusting box in front of me. No one spoke. Amanda's breathing had become erratic. You wouldn't actually kick me out. You're right, I said, tilting my head. I'll give you a week to find somewhere else. My mother stood up. Sweetheart, don't you think that's a bit harsh? I turned to her with a smile so saccharine it could rot teeth. Mom, you do have a guest room, don't you? She flinched. Well, yes, but... Oh, wonderful, I said, clapping my hands. Then Amanda has a place to stay. Amanda's eyes widened in horror. I am not living with Mom and Dad again. Well, Amanda, I said sweetly, you should have thought about that before you handed me a box full of used diapers. A pin could have dropped in that room, and it would have made a louder sound than the stunned silence that followed. My baby shower continued. The food was delicious. The gifts from my real friends were thoughtful and kind. Amanda left early, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel the need to chase after her, because she wasn't my responsibility anymore. It took less than 12 hours for the phone calls to start. I woke up the next morning to 22 missed calls and an inbox full of messages. Mom, Olivia, we need to talk. Amanda is devastated. You humiliated her in front of everyone. Was that really necessary? Dad, this has gone too far. Call me. Amanda, you toxic sister. I was joking. You actually want to make me homeless over a prank? Ah, yes, the classic Amanda routine, play the victim when things don't go her way. I ignored them all. James, my husband, sipped his coffee next to me, scrolling through his own phone. He smirked. Looks like the fallout has begun. He held up his screen. My cousin Sophie had posted on Facebook. Y'all, Amanda really gifted her pregnant sister used diapers and then cried when she got what she deserved. Actions have consequences. The comments were brutal. Amanda's been living off Olivia for years. She had this coming. Wait, she really thought this was funny? That's just cruel. She's lucky Olivia gave her a week to move out. I let out a satisfied sigh. Finally, people are seeing her for who she is, James chuckled, sliding his arm around my waist. So, what's the plan? I took a sip of my tea. I'm going to wait. Let them stew in their own mess for a bit. Then I'll deal with them. By noon, my mother showed up at my house unannounced. She barely waited for me to open the door before pushing inside. Olivia, we need to talk. I crossed my arms. You could have called. I did call, she huffed, sitting down on my couch. You ignored me. I leaned against the wall, unimpressed. Mom sighed dramatically, as if she were the victim here. Amanda made a mistake, but you're overreacting. Kicking her out over a harmless joke? That's cruel, Olivia. I raised an eyebrow. Harmless? She didn't mean anything by it, Mom insisted. She just has a strange sense of humor. She humiliated me in front of everyone, I snapped. You saw it. She was smirking the whole time. Mom waved a hand. She's your sister, Olivia. You don't throw away family over one bad decision. One? I laughed. You mean years of bad decisions. Years of using me for money, trashing my success, and expecting me to fix her problems. Mom flinched. She's going through a hard time. And whose fault is that? I shot back. She blew through her savings. She maxed out her credit cards. She had 6 months to fix this before I even stepped in. Did she do anything? No, because she assumed I'd catch her, like I always do. Mom pursed her lips, clearly struggling for a new angle. Sweetheart, I just don't want this to tear our family apart. Funny, I said, tilting my head, because you didn't seem worried about that when Amanda was tearing me apart for years. She had no response to that. Instead, she sighed, pressing a hand to her temple like this whole thing was my fault. Okay, fine. But at least compromise. Let her stay for another month. Give her time to figure things out. I smiled. Sure. Mom blinked, surprised. Really? Yeah. I grabbed my phone, opened my banking app, and scrolled to a certain payment history. She still owes me $3,000 from last year. She can stay if she pays me back first. Mom's face darkened. Olivia, you know she can't afford that. I shrugged. Then she can't afford to stay. Mom stood up abruptly. You're being heartless. No, Mom, I said, my voice cold. I'm just done being your backup plan. She left without another word. That night, Amanda showed up at my house. She banged on the door like a madwoman, and when I finally opened it, she pushed past me, storming into my living room. What is wrong with you? She shrieked. I calmly shut the door. Hello to you, too. She spun around, her face red with rage. You're really doing this? You're actually making me homeless over a joke? Call it whatever you want, I said, crossing my arms. You're not my problem anymore. She let out a hysterical laugh. Oh, come on, Olivia. You're rich. You have a huge house. What's the big deal? I stared at her. Amanda, do you hear yourself? She scoffed. I'm not asking for much, just a little help. I would do the same for you. I burst out laughing. You? Help me? Yes, she yelled. I took a step closer, lowering my voice. Amanda, when have you ever helped me? She blinked, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. I kept going. Did you help me when I was drowning in student debt? No. Did you help me when I was working 3 jobs to afford my first apartment? No. Did you help me when I needed someone to support me for once? Nothing. I nodded. That's what I thought. She tried a different tactic. Please, she said, her voice suddenly trembling. I have nowhere else to go. Oh, come on, I said, mimicking her earlier words. Mom and Dad have a guest room. Her face twisted in disgust. I can't live with them again. Then figure something out. Tears welled in her eyes. Olivia, please, I'm begging you. For a split second, I almost gave in. Almost. But then I remembered the diapers, the laughter, the years of being her financial safety net while she spat on my success. I took a deep breath. Good luck, Amanda. And then I opened the door. She stared at me in disbelief. You're actually kicking me out? You have 6 days left, I reminded her. Make them count. She stormed past me, stopping in the doorway. You're being really unfair, you know that. I smiled. And you're homeless. She let out a frustrated scream and stomped to her car, speeding off into the night. I closed the door, locked it, and let out a deep breath. For the first time in years, I felt free. Amanda didn't leave quietly. I knew she wouldn't. For the next few days, she cycled through every manipulative tactic in her arsenal. First came the guilt trip. Amanda, I'm your sister, Olivia. How can you sleep at night knowing you're making me homeless? Me, like a baby, actually. Thanks for asking. Then came the fake apologies. Amanda, Liv, I was out of line. I shouldn't have done that at your shower. Please, let's put this behind us. Me, that's great to hear. So when are you sending me the $3,000 you owe Amanda? Ugh, you're impossible. By day 4, she switched to the smear campaign. Mom called me in a panic. Olivia, did you really tell people Amanda stole from you? She said you're spreading lies. I sighed, rubbing my temples. Mom, I never said that. I just told people the truth, that she owes me money and refuses to pay. Well, now she's saying you're ruining her life. No, Mom, I said firmly. Amanda ruined her own life. I just stopped cleaning up the mess. Mom went silent for a moment. I just don't want to see her suffer. I let out a bitter laugh. Where was this concern when I was the one suffering? No response as expected. That night, Amanda tried her final, most desperate move. She showed up at my house with a suitcase. It was almost midnight when the pounding on my door started. James stirred beside me. "You going to get that?" "Nope," I said, pulling the blanket over my head. The knocking continued. With a groan, I got up, walked to the front door, and yanked it open. Amanda stood there, red-eyed and shaking, her suitcase at her feet. "Liv, please," she whispered. "I have nowhere else to go." I folded my arms. "Didn't Mom offer you the guest room?" She swallowed. "I can't live with her. She's overbearing. She nags all day, and Dad just ignores me." I smirked. "Sounds familiar." Amanda's face twisted in frustration. "I can't be there, Olivia. Just let me stay for a few weeks." "No." She let out a small, pathetic sob. "Please, I'll get a job. I'll pay you back. I held up a hand. "Stop." Her mouth snapped shut. I took a deep breath. "Amanda, I don't trust you. You have never changed. You've never followed through. And I'm not letting you stay here, just so I can spend the next few months fighting to get you out." She opened her mouth, but I kept going. "You laughed in my face at my baby shower. You gave me used diapers. That's not just a bad joke. That's pure calculated cruelty. And now you expect me to rescue you?" Tears slid down her cheeks. "I don't have anywhere else." I sighed. "That's not my problem." Her face twisted with rage. "Fine, but when you come crawling back, don't expect me to help you." I laughed. "When have you ever helped me, Amanda?" Silence. She picked up her suitcase and stormed off. I shut the door, locked it, and went back to bed. James wrapped an arm around me. "You okay?" I exhaled deeply. "Yeah. Actually, I think I am. For the first time in years, I felt free. I thought Amanda was finally out of my life. I was wrong. A week after she stormed off, I got a call from my mother. I debated letting it go to voicemail, but my gut told me something was up. "Mom, what now?" I asked, already exhausted. Mom sighed dramatically. "Amanda moved in with us." I smirked. "Oh, so she took the guest room after all?" "Yes, but she's miserable here, Olivia." I nearly laughed. "And why is that my problem? She says she feels like a prisoner," Mom huffed. "Your father and I have rules, and she doesn't like following them." Rules. That was rich, coming from my parents, who had let Amanda get away with everything her entire life. "Let me guess," I said. "You told her she actually has to contribute to the household?" Mom hesitated. "We just asked her to help out a little, maybe get a job, pay for her own expenses." I snorted. "And how did that go?" "Not well," Mom admitted. "She had a meltdown last night because we told her we weren't paying for her Uber Eats anymore." I actually laughed at that. "You mean to tell me she expected you to fund her lifestyle after she spent years expecting me to do it? She's entitled, Mom." Silence. "Anyway," Mom finally said, "she wants to talk to you." "Nope." "Olivia, just hear her out." "She had plenty of chances to talk," I said. "I'm done." Mom sighed, but I ended the call before she could keep pushing. A few days later, I got another text from Amanda. "Can we talk?" I ignored it. Then another. "Please, Olivia, I just need a chance to explain." Ignored. Then came the final message. "Fine. You want to play dirty? Game on." That caught my attention. I didn't hear from Amanda directly after that, but I started noticing little things. Cousins who had been on my side suddenly started acting weird. Friends I hadn't spoken to in a while sent me awkward messages like, "Hey, Olivia, is it true you left Amanda homeless just for fun? Wait, you bought her mortgage just to evict her? Wow, that's cold." Amanda was spinning a new narrative, one where she was the victim and I was some heartless villain. I wasn't surprised. This was classic Amanda. If she couldn't get her way, she'd manipulate the people around her until she looked like the innocent one. But this time, I was ready. I started responding with facts. Amanda wasn't paying her mortgage. I bought the house to keep her from losing it, and she still did nothing to fix her situation. When I finally told her I wasn't supporting her anymore, she gave me used diapers at my baby shower and laughed about it. Ask yourself, would you still help her after that? One by one, people started realizing the truth, and Amanda, she lost the last bit of sympathy she had. I didn't hear from her again until 2 weeks later. This time Dad called. "She's leaving," he said, sounding exhausted. "She's moving out today." I blinked. "She actually found a place?" Dad scoffed. "Not exactly. She's moving in with some random friend. No job, no money, no plan." I sighed. "She'll never learn, will she?" "I doubt it," Dad admitted. "Then softer. I should have listened to you sooner. That was the closest thing to an apology I'd ever get." "Yeah," I said. "You should have." And with that, Amanda was finally out of my life for good. Amanda was finally out of my life. For the first time in years, I wasn't waking up to desperate texts, guilt-tripping calls, or sudden emergencies that somehow required my money. It felt amazing. James and I focused on preparing for the baby. My friends, my real friends, helped me set up the nursery. Life was peaceful. And then, 3 months later, Amanda reappeared. I was rocking in my chair reading baby books when my phone buzzed. "Amanda, hey sis, I miss you. How's the baby?" I stared at my screen. After months of silence, she just popped up like nothing happened. I ignored her. An hour later, another text. "I've been thinking a lot. I know I messed up, and I want to make it up to you. Can we meet?" I showed James. He raised an eyebrow. She wants something, obviously. I sighed. Then came the final text. "So, I was wondering if I could stay with you for a bit. Just until I get back on my feet. I promise I'll be better this time." I laughed out loud. The audacity. My final response, "Amanda, you burned that bridge. You didn't just use me for years. You humiliated me in front of my friends, made me the villain, and only now that you have no other options do you want to make it up to me." She read it instantly. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. I sent one more message. "I'm not your safety net anymore. Find another one." Blocked. I exhaled, feeling lighter than ever. James smiled, kissing my forehead. "Proud of you." "Amanda?" She disappeared again, and I had a beautiful drama-free life waiting for me.